Hello friends, welcome to this International FDP on Environment and Sustainability. Myself Dr. Deepak Dhanraj Patil, Associate Professor at HR Patel Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Quality Assurance and Pharmaceutical Analysis Department. In this case study, I had worked out in the subject of pharmaceutical analysis, the process chromatography, more specifically related to high performance liquid chromatography, that is HPLC. In the first video, the title was Environment and Sustainability Pharmacy Chromatography HPLC Case Study. In first video, we just look out of the environment and sustainability regarding the pharmaceutical industries related to chromatography, related to more specifically HPLC. There is a need to find the sustainable alternative to chromatographic methods, that is HPLC. In week 2 video, the title was LC waste as per EPA is a hazardous waste. We look out for the industry standards, norms applicable to HPLC and its need to be elaborated. Environmental Protection Agency, that is EPA, considers chromatographic waste as a hazardous waste. Now, in this video, after learning through video, students will know and understand environment and sustainability with respect to chromatography, more specifically to HPLC. Know EPA standards related to liquid chromatography as a hazardous waste. Students will also know calculate carbon footprint related to chromatography process used for separation or purification. So these first three, they are the low order objectives, whereas higher order objective, that is to justify environment and sustainability with respect to chromatography, more specifically to HPLC. So it is a higher order cognitive level objective. So as per EPA, the chromatographic effluent is considered as a waste. So EPA and CFR standards for HPLC waste and their purposes to be there. The regulations governing hazardous waste identification, classification, generation, management and disposal are found in Title 40 CFR Part 260 through 273. So what the CFR, that is a Code of Federal Regulation, Annual Edition. It is a codification of the general and permanent rules published in the Federal Register by the department and agencies of the federal government, produced by the Office of the Registrar and the Government Publishing House. Now we look out what the parts 40 CFR Part 260, it is related with hazardous waste management system in general. Part 261, identification and listing of hazardous waste. Part 262, standards applicable to generators of hazardous waste. Part 263, standards applicable to transporters of hazardous waste. Part 264, standards for owners and operators of hazardous waste and treatment, storage and disposal. So if you look at Part 264, 265, 266, 267, 268, 260, 270, 271, 273 and 273, standards for universal waste management. So all related with the hazardous waste. Again, there are the regulations for the hazardous waste generated at the academic laboratory. So if you look out subpart K of Part 261 of Title 40 CFR, it also includes the guidelines related with the chromatographic waste. Then management standards for hazardous waste pharmaceuticals, and amendment to P075 listing for nicotine. It is also given into the Federal Register, that is 84 FR 5816. The final rule establishes cost-saving streamline standards for handling hazardous waste pharmaceuticals to better fit the operations of the healthcare sector while maintaining the protection of human health and environment. Then next one, the carbon emission and footprint calculations and computation. So for the a particular chromatographic process to be taken into consideration, we adapted the calculation from research paper continuous separation of cytochrome C PG glylated conjugates by fast centrifugal partition chromatography. So that was a paper of green chemistry in the year 2019. So here, effective use of aqueous biophysics systems in fast centrifugal partition chromatography for the purification of PG-lighted cytochrome C conjugates is shown. Okay. So what is there? The environmental evaluation by determination of complete E factor and carbon footprint of integrated system for the proposed for the purification. So the complete E factor to be calculated by the formula is equal to summation of WIP, and that is equation 1. So if you look out, it is by measuring the total amount of chemical waste generated including water relative to each isolated product. So what in this particular formula, that where the complete E factor was obtained for each scenario studied, then WI is the amount of each waste generated during the purification process presented in table S4, and if you look out, that is the P is the amount of purified cytochrome C PG obtained. So again, if you look at table S5, so this is the table S4, waste generated to produce the purified PG lighted conjugates form, then waste generated, their units, and here the two aspect without reuse and with reuse was used by the author. Again, if you look out, the inputs considered to the produce the purified PG lighted conjugates form with and without the use. So again, inputs unit, and what the without use and with use, the waste generated, that to be denoted. Here again, now that is important from our point of view, that is the carbon footprint corresponds to the sum of the greenhouse gas emissions expressed as a carbon dioxide equivalent and calculated according to the equation 2, that is the summation of AJ, CHGJ, and that is again P, where the carbon footprint was obtained from each scenario studied, that is kg CO2 equivalent kg cytochrome PEG. AJ is the amount of each input presented in table S5, what we previously looked out. CHGJ is the green CHG emission, that is greenhouse gas emission factor for each input J presented in table 6, and P is the amount of purified particular product. So again, if you look at table S6, here the greenhouse emission factor used to calculate the carbon footprint of the purified PG lighted conjugates form, and the name of the process taken from the eco-event version. Okay, so if you look out here, again the inputs reference CG emission and what the name of the particular process. Here again, if you look out what the reference, that is a eco-event given. So the data for the particular waste product taken from here. To calculate the complete E factor, data on the amounts of waste generated during the purification process from the use was obtained during the experiment. To calculate the carbon footprint, data amounts of PGNSS, cytochrome C, VG, KH2PO4, K2HPO4 and water were also obtained during the experiment. Data on electricity consumption in the PEGylation reaction and FCPC were collected during the experiment, and data on electricity consumption in both ultrafiltration units and reuse follows were collected from the literature. If you look at reference 9, then reference 9 also I had just mentioned here. Okay, so by that way, data on GHG emission from the product and water were taken from the eco-event database version, what we look out previously. So what the carbon footprint calculated, so if you look out complete E factor and carbon footprint in calculated in this B, so that is something nearer to 3 into 10 raised to 3 CO Okay, so if you look out in both the scenarios, with and without the use of proteins and solvent, the carbon footprint reached to a value 3 into 10 raised to 3 kg CO2 equivalent per kg cytochrome Pg. That is in the case when there is no use, and in case of reuse, it is the carbon footprint reduced to 67%, that is 1 into 10 raised to 3 kg CO2 equivalent kg when reuse was considered. In both the terms, the production of electricity consumed is the main contributor of the carbon footprint. Okay, and what the proposed method, it is economically advantageous. So if you look out the sustainability, we are moving from the organic solvents to the green solvents. Then the sustainability standard for the particular instrument. So if you look out more specifically the chromatography related instruments of water cell product, the UPLC family is far more energy efficient than the previous generations of liquid chromatographic products. The UPLC family reduces the use of solvents. Activity UPLC products make switch to more efficient chromatography with less use of solvents. If you look out, in fact, over its life cycle, product uses 35% less energy and 80% less solvent. So in concern of sustainability, the equity UPLC, and that is from the waters, is sustainable 10 years of ownership, and that is 8 hours per day and 1 lakh total samples analyzed as compared to HPLC systems. Thank you very much.